All right. Hi there, and welcome to our webinar on supporting social impact through language. If you are here with us today, welcome. We are going to be having all kinds of fun and interesting discussions. I'll be on the chat this whole time, so if you have anything you want to ask, share, feel free to do that, and I will share anything that you have to say with our host today. I also would like to greet all of you who are here, who are watching the recording later. Please feel free to email us any questions you might have after the fact as well. My name is Megan. I am part of the Cricket Media team. And without further ado, I think now would be a great time to hand things over to our host for today, Jackie.
Thank you so much, Megan, for that awesome introduction. Hi, hola, bonjour, guten tag, konnichiwa. Je m'appelle Jacqueline Youm, like Zoom, but I go by Jackie, and I am your host for today. A little bit about me. I'm a TCK, which is a third culture kid. I was born in Senegal, but I was raised all over the world. I'm now an artist, mainly an actor, language teacher, and a lawyer. Language is a very important part of my identity and life. And whenever I travel somewhere, I do my best to learn a little bit about the language and the culture in order to bond and to commune with the people there. It's helped me so much in fostering better understanding and in creating incredible experiences with the people and with the cultures involved. I speak fluently French, English, and Spanish, and I love to speak a lot of other little languages, a little bit of Korean, a little bit of Japanese, a little bit of Arabic, a little bit of Russian, etc., etc. How about you? Could you please tell me a little bit about you? For those of you who are live in the chat, we would love that. And while you're doing that, a little bit more about me. I come from an ethnic group in Senegal that's called the Serer. And the Serer are a group that not only exists in Senegal, they can be found in Mali, in Mauritania, and in different countries on the west coast of Africa. And my dad is Serer. And not only are we called Serer, but they speak a language called Serer, and they have their own very, very unique and specific culture and traditions. And they're quite fascinating. Okay, hopefully we will hear more from you, Julie and Sheila. If you want to introduce yourselves in the chat, feel free. Um,
And while we are waiting, I would like to share. So, as part of the Cricket Media team, we communicate a lot with another branch of the company that's located in China. So, talking about how we address a multilingual workplace is always very relevant in our workplace, in addition to the language learning aspect of what we do. So, it's always interesting to hear about, what different workplaces might look like, who has a multilingual workplace, who has a global workplace. And that's something that would be really interesting to know too, if you'd like to share that.
Absolutely. And while you're sharing with us, we're going to talk about the objectives for today in terms of the power of language on social impact. Our objectives are number one, to create a positive working environment, promoting employee engagement and fostering professional and personal relationship through linguistic awareness. Numéro 2, establishing trust and sense of value by recognizing diverse perspectives and linguistic backgrounds. Número 3, enhancing best practices for both internal and external growth that ensures employees and all customer linguistic backgrounds are represented in the workplace. Those are our goals and objectives for today. Hopefully, you'll understand by the end of this presentation what is social impact, why is it so important, how can we create positive social impact, right? And what happens when you ignore different diversities. So we'll jump right into our first question of the day, which is, what is social impact? Do those of you who are here, who are attending, have any ideas what social impact actually is? I'll give you a minute to write in the chat if you have any sort of ideas at all. And please, any answer is a fine answer. Don't hesitate to write anything. I'll give you a little minute to think about it. Thirty more seconds. All right. 10 more seconds. Social impact. What is it? It has been a buzzword in recent years, and it's one of those things that can be really hard to understand because it's so vague. Our hope is to make a practical application of it a little more tangible for you during this this presentation. So one definition of social impact is that it is any significant or positive change that solves or at least addresses social injustices and challenges. Now, businesses, organizations, or individuals, etc., can achieve these goals, can achieve social impact through conscious and deliberate efforts and or activities in their operations and administrations. So that's the key. Now, why is social impact important? Do you have any guesses as to why it is at all important? If so, please, please, please write it in the chat. I'll give you another 30 seconds to a minute to let us know in the chat if you have any ideas on why social impact is important. All right, let's talk about it. Well, people ultimately want to feel like they belong. They want to feel seen and heard. And in many ways, people want to be also able to have common threads, to bond over common interests while being able to celebrate their individuality and what makes them unique. Now, language is one of those threads, right? One of those traits that make us all unique. And it is part of who we are and part of the fabric of our identity. So by encouraging people to learn about and to practice the language or languages that people speak, you show them that you value who they are, that you see them, that you hear them. According to the Harvard Business School, actually, in one 2018 survey, it showed that 89% of employees serve on at least one global team. In fact, 62% of corporate employees have colleagues from 3 or more cultures. Incredible. So that is why social impact is important. Now, what happens when you ignore linguistic diversity? Any thoughts, any ideas on what happens when you do that, when you ignore it? Well, please feel free to let me know in the chat if you have any ideas. Here are some thoughts of mine. When you ignore linguistic diversity, you ignore who someone is, period, point blank. You show them that you don't see them, that you don't hear them, and that ultimately you don't fully care about them. You don't fully want to understand who they are as a complete human being. And when this happens, well, things don't end up well, right? Work becomes a revolving door. People do not do the best work that they do or that they're able to do. They don't work as hard, and they may ultimately quit, right, and leave if they don't feel valued. Um, a little stat on this: corporations that identify as more diverse and inclusive are 35% more likely to outperform their competitors, according to McKinsey. Just to give you a little, hey, maybe if you see, right, the linguistic diversity of your employees, that can be to your benefit ultimately. And I know that ties into the next question, which is how can businesses and organizations honor their employees' diversity? Well, there are many, many ways to do that. Do you have any thoughts? Please, before we get into it and get into the details and crux of the matter, please, 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 write in the chat any of your thoughts, any of your ideas on how to do that. I'll give you a minute or two to think about it. Let's put some nice background music. Ooh. Oh, very. Okay. I know, very epic music. 20 more seconds. Ooh, I like what you wrote, Megan. Yes. A big one she appreciates is when companies include language learning and training as an employee benefit. I love that. Any other thoughts, anyone? All right. The minute is finished. Okay, let's get into it. One of the ways that businesses and organizations can honor their employees' diversity is through DEI and language training. DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And these types of trainings, DEI as well as language trainings, are a great way to create a positive social impact. Okay? Because by companies adopting DEI and language trainings, they are trying to remedy past inequities where certain members of their workforce were not acknowledged, were not fully seen, and were not fully heard. This is an unfortunate reality, right, of many people from specific ethnic groups and backgrounds in this world. And a way to remedy that is by offering these types of trainings so that everyone can be aware of, right, the inequities that exist and can start to see each other as who they really are. Another important way to do this is to start with an awareness of your employees and clients' linguistic diversity, right? Do the people you serve and work with speak languages other than English? Does your community have a strong population of French, Serer, Spanish, Chinese, Arabic, or whatever language speakers? And knowing that will really help you to better be able to serve them right. Knowledge is power. Some more ways to honor their diversity is to revisit this conversation regularly, right? As employees and communities change, as your businesses grow or diminish or change or morph, you want to know who is a part of these communities. So continue to revisit this critical review and how access and support are creating positive changes to address linguistic barriers. Some more thoughts and solutions. For example, businesses that provide a budget for employees to get language training, ah, the best. They create an environment where employees are encouraged to share their linguistic abilities. That is wonderful. Other beneficial offerings? Some businesses do lunch hour practices, happy hour, where you speak in a specific language, for example, or celebrations of culture and language. I know those are always really popular in certain workplaces that I've worked at, where we'll choose like a day or a week to celebrate a particular culture and language, and learn about this culture and language. It only bonds us and help us bring together in this collaborative environment. Some other things that you can do are are there some other thoughts or ideas from you? I would love to hear some creative solutions on how businesses and corporations and organizations can help, right, to foster this environment that honors their employees' diversity. The ones that I've mentioned, at least, I know enrich the lives of their employees, create an environment that encourages them to be their true and authentic selves, which will only fuel better productivity, foster a more positive work environment, and create ultimately a positive social impact. Some other things to think about in terms of social impact are accommodations, right? Having a budget that where you can prepare materials in other languages. If you have clients and employees that are more comfortable in specific languages, having those documents translated to those languages would be very beneficial in creating, again, a collaborative and accepting environment. Having interpreters, right? Translation services. And so interpreters of different languages, including of sign language, um, ASL or FSL, French Sign Language or British Sign Language, right? Um, Making those types of accommodations only help to create positive social impact. Any thoughts from y'all? Please, please, please. Don't hesitate to put in the chat or send us an email letting know your thoughts. We would love more creative ideas. I think the more the better, right? Some interesting stats. 69% of executives rate diversity and inclusion as an important issue. And inclusive companies are 1.7 times more likely to be innovative. I believe it.
And Jackie, you were talking about some of these ways that companies can implement, some happy hours or creative activities like that. I was thinking about something I really enjoyed that we did about a month or two ago. I know you teach language lessons with Cricket e-learning, but we had one day where employees could actually pick between a few different languages and attend a happy hour with a teacher from one of those languages virtually. And so I speak German. I was in the German group. And we had some people who already spoke some German. We had some total beginners who wanted to learn a little. It was a great way for some of us to brush back up, to practice speaking a little, for the newer people to learn a little bit by immersion. And it was just a really cool opportunity to also like bond with some of our coworkers. So that was something that our company just implemented as a happy hour that I think it would be so cool if that was a more regularly implemented practice.
Hmm. I absolutely agree. I think that's a brilliant idea. Um, Something that is not quite the same, but that I know that Cricket e-learning does as well is these boot camps, right? 1 day boot camps that are like 2 hours on a weekend on a Saturday or Sunday morning. I think those are also really great ways to like um, have all kinds of people just like who are interested in a language learn about a language and a culture in 2 hours in a really short amount of time, but that still gives them a good taste, and the basics as well. I really like those. Yeah. Well, attendees, if any of you have any thoughts on how businesses, organizations, anyone can honor employees' diversity and can create positive social impact, again, I think the more we brainstorm together, the more ideas and solutions we can come up together, just the better it will be. The better environment will be, the happier more employees and people will be in general. So please share. Now, before we finish, we still love to hear from you. Get involved. Learn another language. Yes. And before we're completely done, we are going to play Jeopardy to see what did you retain from this presentation. Tell us, what do you remember? Promise this is fun. If you can please put in the chat your answer, we would love that.
And if you're playing along after the fact, feel free to just record your own answers for your own benefits. We'll share the answers after each question, so you can play along as if you're participating live. So I'm just going to start with the very first question in our category, what is social impact? Any significant or positive changes that solve or address social injustice and challenges are called this.
Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, do, dum, dum. Yes, the answer is, what is social impact?
And let's
I,
just continue that category with what is social impact for 200. This creates a positive working environment and promotes employee engagement.
do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, do, dum, dum. Yes! Oh, you are brilliant. The answer is, again, what is social impact?
Let's just bring it home with what is social impact for 300. You might be noticing a little bit of a theme here.
What? What theme?
This establishes trust and sense of value by recognizing diverse perspectives and linguistic backgrounds.
Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 dum, dum. Ding, 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 ding. Yes, what is social impact?
So I think after that category, we can definitively answer what is social impact.
I think so. I think so.
So I think the best step to take after that is what are the best practices that we can implement? And let's
All
start off with the
right.
100 question.
Yes.
These forms of training are great ways to create a positive social impact in employees' lives.
Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 dum, dum. What are DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and or language trainings? Good job. For the next one, let's do 300. Let's
Yeah.
go crazy.
All right. Language happy hour, lunch hour practices, budgeting for language training, and celebrations of culture are all examples of this.
Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 dum, dum. Yes! Ding, 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 ding. What are the best practices to create social impact? Good job.
Do you think we should finish that category, or shall we talk a little bit more about you?
Let's talk a little bit about me.
I'm feeling that. Let's do it. Jackie is fluent in these three languages. You'll have to remember the very beginning of the presentation for this one.
Mm. Do 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 do. Do 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 dum dum. What are français, espagnol, and English? Bravo, bravo.
I was hoping you would answer it that way. So, looking at the board, why don't we continue with Meet the Host for 200?
Excellent.
Jackie does not belong to one culture or country. She considers herself this.
Do 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 dum dum. What is a third culture kid? Yes, TCK, TCK. Good job. Two more left.
Yeah, let's finish this category and then we'll go back to our last best practices. Leave on a note of what we can implement.
Love.
She has been working for Cricket Media for 7 years.
Do 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 do. Do 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 dum dum. Eh, trick question. Who is the moderator Megan? I've been teaching languages for 14 plus years. Gotcha.
All right. So let's finish up with best practices for 200.
Yes.
Companies should look to these groups when considering language diversity.
Do 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 do. Do 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 dum dum boom boom. Ding 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 ding. What are employees, clients, and the local community? Do, 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 do. Good job, everyone. Oh, thank you so much for playing. Thank you so much for watching this presentation.
Thanks for joining us. And as always, please feel to get in touch if you have any more questions about how you can implement these practices, how Crickety Learning can help implementing these in your company and your organization, or just if you have any thoughts or experiences from your own professional life or organization that you'd like to share. And thank you so
Absolutely.
much for joining us, Jackie.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. And thank you for joining us, Julie Morgan and Sheila Riggin. We really appreciate you. And have a cricket-tastic day.
Thank you.
Bye.